Welcome in, everybody. Happy Friday. I hope we're all well. I just had to do. I had to do this video. I was up last night. I did a reveal stream last night for the LVO reveals for Games Workshop. There were a few things that we kind of sort of guessed were coming from the silhouettes. We haven't obviously had the Lucius and the Emperor's Children and things, but these guys dropped the Soul Blight Gravelords, and I was not expecting this, and I was just absolutely blown away by what's happened. So, the Soul Blight Gravelords, I do have a Soul Blight Gravelords army. I finally sort of found my entry into AOS, and it is Soul Blight Gravelords. But, however, I love skeletons. I grew up with them. I'll show you why in a second, but I was just not expecting all of this, and it's incredible. We've got Barrow Knights, we've got Barrow Guard, so the Grave Guard. The new versions of the Grave Guard are now Barrow Guard. And then we've got some White Kings and White Lords as well. So we've got a white Lord, and then a White King is a higher level. Look at these. Just look at them. And then we get the book as well. It's just incredible. So I'm sure you all know, because you've watched all my videos, I'm sure. But this is where my skeleton obsession, if you like, came from. Jason and the Argonauts, the Harryhausen, the classic Harryhausen skeletons. I watched this film just over and over and over again, and this is where Tomb Kings, like my obsession for Tomb Kings, because you take these skeletons, you smash them in with ancient Egypt, and you just get an absolute love affair for me. But Harryhausen skeletons, iconic, absolutely iconic, massive part of my childhood, and having this sort of stuff. I mean, look at this. Having this range now come out and just kind of push a little bit further towards the skeletons and the Deathrattle, if you like, side of the Soul Blight Gravelords is really interesting. And they did say on the stream that in the Battle Tome, we've got the Battle Tome here. They did say that in the stream that in the Battle Tome there's going to be two different ways of playing. You can either go kind of Deathrattle orientated, or you can go the Soul Blight Gravelords and the Vampire orientated. Now, I'm taking from that, and forgive me and correct me if I'm wrong down in the comments, you AOS aficionados, but I think I can sort of gauge from that is that it's going to be a little bit like the Orc book, where you can have the Iron Jaws and the Cruel Boys, and then you can they've done the big war where they smash them all together. But they had the two different armies, and then they had the army rules that you could pick for each one. So I'm guessing that we're going to have a Soul Blight Gravelords Vampire set of army rules, and then a Deathrattle set of army rules, which is really going to be really cool. I don't know whether we're ever going to be able to cross the streams and have both. It would be really cool if you could, but just running a ton of skeletons and this kind of quality of skeletons as well. The models are phenomenal. They're really cool. And then, of course, we get the White King. So, I don't know, is this one the White King or the White... Yeah, so this one's the White King. And then I think there's a White Lord as well. I think the King is the higher level. So he's the hierarchy one level up from the White Lord. I mean, but he's just really cool as well. I love the pose on him as well. He's just kind of opening up his body a little bit. He's not the kind of static facing forwards. And it does obviously have that little bit of a nod back to the incredible Cities of Sigmar one as well. So he's got that sort of pose on him. And is there a picture of the Lord as well? There's the Lord. Oh yeah, they're really good. He's looking really cool. I'm looking forward to painting these. They're gonna get painted up really well. I haven't sort of started mine. I've got all the Soul Blight Gravelords all sort of kind of built, and you've probably seen my bases video. So I've got a vast majority of them kind of based and primed, and sort of been working on a few of the base tones. But I might wait for these and try and get hold of this box so that I can add to them. But the Barrow Guard, they've got a lovely little kind of a throwback to the current skeletons, but then with extra armor, and I think it's a really, really nicely done sort of way. So they've got the scraggly skirts at the bottom, and then the armor plates on the hips, and then obviously you've got the chest armor and the shoulder armor and everything. So they look very similar to the current skeletons, but they're just a little bit more heroic, a bit more. They've got a little bit more of that gothic feel to them, and of course they've got the incredible shields as well. And they've also, I mean, look at this guy. So that's got the little kind of tilt and the weird kind of pose that some of the, I say weird in terms of like kind of croaky and crunchy skeletal bone pose, rather than weird as in I don't like it. Just phenomenal. And then and they've got a drum. They've actually got a drum, although they do go back on them. They do go back on that with the Barrow Knights, but they've actually got a drum. Skeletons can't blow horns, so they have a drum, so they can bang on the drum. And they've got one here, which is a really cool. I think it's the next one here. There we go. So these two here look very much like the posers from the. I can't remember whether it was the Shadespire. I don't think it was Shadespire, but it was one of the skeletons from Underworlds anyway. Those two look very, very similar, particularly the one with the glaive pointing backwards. So they've definitely kind of pulled inspiration from those models on these, but they're really, really cool. And then, of course, you get the Barrow Knights as well. The new versions of the Black Knights. Circular shields on these, just tons of armour. They're going to be really interesting. And I like one little thing, because everybody's always said skeleton horses shouldn't have tails. They've added a little bit of fur. They've added a little bit of fur here to the back of the tail, which I think is really interesting. It's really cool. So they all have tails, and they've all got that just like little bit of fur just hanging off the back. So it's almost like all this is cartilage, and then you've still got that bit of fur. Anyway, that's a tiny little detail, which I just thought was really fun. But they have got a horn on the skeleton. I don't know how he's going to blow it. I don't think he could have fit the drum on the back of the skeleton horse anyway. But how cool are the skeleton horses as well? They've just done a really good job on them. Really good job on them. Just anyway, we got all of this, and I was really excited. I was like, oh, brill, absolutely fantastic. We're going to get some Deathrattle and can do some Deathrattle, and you can just do purely Deathrattle, and you can have the White Kings and the White Lords on the skeleton steeds with the Black Knights or the Barrow Guard and the Barrow Knights now, and then a big skeleton horde in front. I think I've got 40 skeletons at the moment. I might try and add another 20 to that, but you can have just like loads of skeletons with some Barrow Guard and some Barrow Knights and Whites. But no, they add, and this just absolutely blew my mind. Prince Vhordrai. Is it actually called a zombie dragon anymore? I'm sure it was called something. Sure, it was called something else. But look at that guy. It might be the best glow up ever. I'm calling it now. If they better that for the rest of the year, my draw is going to be on the floor. That is model of the year already, and we're on January the 18th, 17th. January the 17th, and I think we've already got model of the year. That is phenomenal. Phenomenal. And I converted up my Prince Vhordrai. This is my Prince Vhordrai here. I used the old Carmine Dragon from Forge World, hacked it all apart so that I could sort of get the clearance for Vhordrai's lance in here, turned some of the arms around, made the base for it and everything. So that's my Vhordrai, and that's him starting to get painted. He's looking really cool. All these kind of gothic ruin bases, which I'm absolutely loving. And he's on 160mm base. He's not that. This is huge. That's 160mm base. On a, yeah, it's almost too much. It's almost too much. And then I don't think so. I'm guessing that the current Terrorgeist is going to drop out of the range because they also now have, and what's this one called? Revenant Draconith. So that's the sort of new Terrorgeist, I'm guessing. Now, I do have a Terrorgeist, which I used, and I built on the same base, or a similar base, a really gothic base, and he's kind of crawling over some of the ruins and everything on that base. But this came on the stream, and I was just, for like 5 minutes, I couldn't talk. I can't put into words how much I like this model, and I want to see the whole thing as well. Like, I really want to have it in my hand and kind of turn it around and appreciate these completely like lithe and leather wings with the fingers just completely outstretched. Look how long they are and everything. It's just incredible. I'm in love with that. I'm in love with this one. Vhordrai is phenomenal. He looks a little bit kind of dangling on, but I mean, that's a tiny nitpick. He's so good. And then even that wasn't the end. And this wasn't shown on the stream, but if you carry on scrolling down, we get a vampire on a horse to go with our Blood Knights. We got one with like tons of hair. I like the bald one, but I'm always going to put the sword on. I always lean towards swords. So the one I build is going to have a sword and then the bald head. But look at that as well. Just stunning. Imagine that leading a unit of Black Knight. There's this sort of army release, and hopefully with the battle tome, I love armies which you can just add flavour and go in different directions with any which way you want to go. I mean, you could go with loads and loads of monsters with this. You could have Vhordrai, the Revenant Draconist, with Lorcavai and some other kind of monsters in there. You could go really cavalry vampire heavy with the vampire on a skeletal steed, or whatever it's called. What's this? What are they going to name it? Nightmare Steed. There we go. So it's a vampire lord on a nightmare steed with some blood knights and a bloodseeker palanquin coming in behind it. And I mean, even with that, you want to add this in the background, just like flying over. And also, they mentioned, sorry, I'm getting completely distracted. They mentioned on the stream that you can now have the old Warhammer Fantasy fly high. So in Warhammer Fantasy, you could have any of these big dragons. You could tell them to fly high for a turn. They would be off the table, and then they would come back down the next turn and just like land somewhere and be able to fight wherever they liked. So these guys have the old classic fly high rule. Anyway, I just thought I had to do this. I had to do a video just kind of showing it off. I'm sure you've all seen it already, but I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to have to paint very, very quickly with all this, because that's stunning. That's stunning. Vhordrai is amazing. All the Barrow Knights are phenomenal. The Barrow Guard are really, really cool. And then, of course, you've got the White Lord and the White King as well. Which one is your favourite? I want to know. Not counting Vhordrai, because I think Vhordrai is going to be at the top of everybody's, but that guy's just got so much presence and character. And actually, even he has got a horn, look. Even he has got a little horn on his skeletal steed. So, yeah, there we go. Let me know what you think. I can't wait to get this. Yeah, Deathrattle army set. Thank you very much. Skeletons everywhere. I've just got to now think of a colour scheme. If you can think of one, drop your comment down below and let me know how you think I should paint my Deathrattle. Lots of gothic stuff. I don't know. We'll see. Right. Thank you very much, guys. I'm sure you will catch me on stream. Drop me a follow on Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky. I'm dead easy to find. Just search for Chris Frossin and you will find me there. Thank you very much. Have a lovely weekend and take care. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.